All right. What's up, everybody? As this slowly catches its way up, I'm happy to say that Devin hopefully won't be here today at all because, well, who wants Devin on their show? And anyway, but we got some pretty cool stuff going on. Damn it. I was really hoping to avoid. This is why I hate just everything in general now.
Glorious! No, I won't give in. I will give in till I'm victorious.
So much.
And I will defend.
Proud of yourself? Proud of yourself? Was that
I know you missed me, bud.
I totally missed you because I mean, who wouldn't miss that terrible face interrupting me constantly?
I think my favorite part is that anytime I play these videos, it constantly cuts you off in the middle of a sentence. That's my favorite part about it.
Yeah, as we discovered during our Royal Rumble show, that if somebody jumps in, it immediately just cuts off whoever's talking and auto mutes everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah. But so Devin, we're gonna get some more comics today, but
wore my Red Hood shirt just for it.
Yeah, I gotta move my camera. I'm being cut off. We are live, so anyone, however you're watching this, as we do our show, if you feel like asking any questions of whether me and Devin or our two guests who we'll be introducing in a quick second here, obviously you guys know how our StreamYard works. You can chime in at any moment. But before we jump into everything, Devin, what's been going on?
Well, not a whole lot. Just been enjoying this snow that we're constantly getting for some odd reason in the state of Michigan. And then Puxatawny Phil decided he wanted to give us the bad news of more winter during this COVID season. So it's been dandy.
Yeah, it's never fun. But this was even today's episode kind of came. This was kind of like something that we had a past guest kind of helped put together, and Devin, I know you couldn't do it because it was at like 10:30 at night. But when we did the 101 Tales episode, with Mog, and that's kind of how this episode came along. And so we obviously, as you can see by Bill's drawing of me in the background there, and that little drawing table he's got, we got some more artists with us and some more comic guys, but these two guys have something a little bit special going on, and you guys have a certain Kickstarter that you got going on right now, and so I want to make sure we obviously give you guys ample time to explain that, but because I want to be able to cut off Devin for as long as possible so he doesn't get to talk. Why don't kind of each of you guys just kind of like give everybody that's watching right now like just a quick kind of like who you guys are, like what you guys kind of do, like what led to this Kickstarter kind of like being a thing for the two of you.
I'll start with you. You start with Tom.
Okay.
I'm working out
all the pressure, Tom.
Yeah, I was sharing the link on my YouTube. I'm sharing the YouTube link on my Facebook real quick. So that's why my face is going back and forth like I'm at mission control.
Yeah, we specialize in multitasking. That's what we do.
YouTube down, folks. YouTube down.
That's it. Yeah. Everything is crashed. I repeat, everything has crashed.
Tom is down.
And we've lost Tom.
All right, it's a normal day.
And Bill doesn't know what's going on, and we're done. All right. So everything's done.
This has been a fantastic evening.
We did it. We broke everything.
Yay.
So I am from Committed Comics. I am Tom, and we are promoting the Nera X Reborn Kickstarter for issue 2. This is issue 1. Which you actually get with every pledge on the Kickstarter. So me and Bill have known each other for a long time. And I've been doing printing comic books for 20 years now. Me and my friend Alex started the company with the sole purpose of kind of merging new talent and veteran talents together and giving people the opportunity to get into the comic book industry, because that's in 99, that was kind of a difficult thing to do. 99, 2000, it was almost near impossible to kind of get into the industry unless you already had a name. They kept on recycling artists and creators from years past, and they weren't really bringing in any new talents. Thankfully, that's changed in the past couple of years, but that's essentially what we built Community Comics on. And since me and Bill have known each other, he was talking about Nira on her 25th anniversary and saying how he wanted to bring her back and do something with her. So
Which
we decided
immediately dates me.
Yes. So we decided to do the Nira X Ground Zero omnibus for her 25th anniversary. And then that led right into the Nira X Reborn issue 1, which we did, what was that, tail end of last year, 2018 tail end?
I believe so, yeah.
San Diego, 2018.
Right. It's a pre-COVID issue. It's a special.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, germ-free.
Free world.
It's germ-free.
Really?
Yeah.
But will you cough on it upon special request?
You
though?
can totally, you can totally
Okay.
lick it. It's
Yeah.
fine.
You just have to randomly lick one page on each one, but never tell anyone which page it is.
That's what it is. That's exactly what it is.
There's actually a mask in the back of the issue that you pull out, like those old, cereal box situations.
You have to like swab each
Give
page.
Tom more
figure out
ideas. You have to
which
pay
one
him a
has
nickel for every time he
secret
uses that idea.
So we decided to do that, and then we launched it on Bill's 90th birthday, which was
Right.
January 25th, and
Right.
Bill looks good for his age. And
Little bit.
so yeah, so we funded, thankfully, and now we're working on the stretch goals, and we have a huge amount of talent that's working with us, which I'm super thankful for. That we know these talented people who have done various covers, like Mog. She did a couple of different covers for us. Kevin McCoy did a cover. Bill McKay, Dan Feldemeyer, my friend Javier Avila, who's very fan favorite on the convention circuit. Bill's own daughter, Kat, did one.
Yes.
So we've got a variety of different talent on there, which is
have to emphasize. I don't have an infant over here drawing kitties and spaceships for me on the side. That makes me a bad parent.
The better question for you, Tom, is
my daughter's like 23.
whose was better, Tom? Bill's or his daughter's?
That's a no-brainer. It's her. She's a 2.0. You know how
yeah. She's definitely been. She was selling copies of it while we still had we're going to eventually put something in the space.
Yeah.
And then we put something in the space in a preliminary, and then we sold more copies.
Well, she's the sport model version of me, so she's got to be better in every way. I did my job. I kept her alive. I fed her. She's like she grew.
Got her a dog.
Yeah, I got the dog, which I'm taking care of tonight, but that's okay. I need protection.
That's gonna be that's the special differential cover is the dog's version of
Nira.
Once again, I'll have to give you a nickel for every time you use that idea.
I mean, stay with us. We're full of them. All right.
There'll be a lot. And I'll bring it up in a little bit. We do have a question for you guys already, but I'll bring it up in a second.
Sure.
So I know you said this is a kind of like your 25th anniversary of why you guys are doing this. So what's the Kickstarter centered around? And what are the dates of when this is going on so people can know when to how to donate?
So it is live now, and it ends on March 10th, I believe. Why am I drawing a blank on that? I'm going to double check it real quick.
The way that Tom set it up, it's a fun Kickstarter in the sense that it's really promoting Nira X Reborn #2 because we've already published #1. But what's happening is every single physical tier that people purchase for getting #2, they're going to receive a copy of issue #1 from the publisher as a gift. So they're getting issues 1 and 2 together for the price of just the #2 issue, and it doesn't matter which tier they get. It could be one of the variant covers. It could be like the regular cover. Doesn't matter.
Even the PDF version, you get both
really?
PDFs.
Yeah, I thought it was only physical tiers. You're awesome.
Nope,
okay, cool.
nope. I'm throwing it all out there.
You see what happens.
You'll
get a PDF of #1.
All of us are learning new information.
Right. But the physical copies. If you buy a physical copy, you get a physical copy of #1. So that's cool. And Tom can explain the other stretch goals in between. The exciting stretch goal, which is a $25,000 stretch goal, which if we actually reach that point, then everybody benefits who got a physical tier at all because they'll also receive issue 3. So the whole miniseries will be a set. You won't have to wait for it. It'll just be a complete thing all at once. And I think that made it pretty fun to see how high we can get the stretch goals. But there's a bunch of stretch goals in between that are super fun too. So if for some reason we don't meet the #3 stretch goal, I mean, #3 is still getting drawn.
Yeah, we're still
produced,
doing it.
So
Bill's still drawing.
But it would be kind of cool
work.
to have it as a bonus, as a gift on top of everything else. So
Now
that's
being
what we have. Yeah.
being a podcaster, obviously we have to notice everything that goes on in somebody's background and what they have going on. And Tom, I have to ask, when you get with Bill and he's just like bothering the crap out of you about this, do you just like power him down off of his tattoo, or like?
Oh, that's in my job description. I'm supposed to bother him.
It's true. He's creative talent on
this
the
This is actually kind of funny. My daughter wanted to get a tattoo since she was a little kid, right? And so one day we'll get this tattoo or whatever. So it was only maybe 2 years ago. We were in San Diego. And it's like, well, if you still want it, she wanted it for 10 or 15 years, right? So I was like, if you still want it later, then we'll do it. We'll go to a tattoo shop. And then her mom actually met us in San Diego. My former wife, she lives in a different state right now. But the three of us we got together in San Diego, and all three of us got the same tattoo at a shop. It was a shop kind of close to where we used to live in San Diego, which is kind of cool. So obviously all of us get along great because we're getting tattoos together. So. But this is because when I was raising her, we always played tons of video games. She's a PlayStation fanatic, and so that's where the power symbol came from, and also to deactivate me.
And it also doesn't work. It doesn't matter how hard you push it.
No,
it just keeps on talking.
It's okay. I try to hit the mute button all the time on Mark, and it doesn't work.
Yeah. I know. You got to put one of those
out, and then he just re-clicks on the link and gets back in somehow the hint.
Like Dr. Strange
through his head
symbol
that I don't want him. He just keeps showing up over and over and over again.
So actually, we had a question come through on our Facebook page, and obviously, because we're big wrestling nerds, my cousin called me a jobber. But he wants to know.
No, it's accurate. He is.
But in being comic book people yourselves, as you can see, we are big fans here, and I love my omnibuses and graphic novels. And
I have way too much.
Marks are stacked up in boxes. So I have to ask, what is your guys' favorite comics that you have?
Well, not choosing our own, because again, it's your own kind of deal.
Fair.
But no, I mean, I think just of mainstream stuff, it's kind of a toss-up between New Gods, the original New Gods series from the 70s, Jack Kirby. I'm a huge Kirby fan. Between that and something more recent, which is Strangers in Paradise from Terry Moore. They're completely opposite ends of the spectrum, but I mean, both of them tell incredible stories, have a lot of depth to their characters, and have the possibility to go multiple different places, which Terry's been exploring for the past 10 years by linking all of his different miniseries together into one larger universe, which is kind of impressive.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, so
cool. No, I mean, for me, it's all the usual suspects. I know. We'll get to my thoughts now. My deep impressionistic thoughts about what I like and what I don't like. I do like a lot of. I mean, I got into the industry right in the '90s, right when Image Comics formed, and so I'm a huge fan of those guys as a studio because they achieved the dream, right? We're a bunch of artists and we're going to do our own thing, do it our way. Yeah, so it's but other than the actual direct image guys like Todd McFarlane or Jim Lee and guys like that, J. Scott Campbell, Joe Madureira, he's a big influence on me. Arthur Adams, I would say, is a huge influence on my stuff. And I always try to emulate or try to pick up little tricks from their shows. I enjoy their work, but I'm also trying to reverse engineer. It's I like how they drew a nostril.
Right.
How do I nostril?
How can I copy that style?
Yeah, exactly. There's always one little thing. And of course, my stuff doesn't look anything like any of their work, but you pick up little tricks. You pick up little things. You pick up, So that's always a lot of fun. Frank Cho is another artist that I love picking up all of his work. And I bounce back and forth between American stuff and say, like Shiro stuff, like Appleseed, Ghost in the Shell, things like that. I have a lot of manga anime kind of influence as a
Okay.
kid growing up. So I think that's where the big eyes, like my stuff is definitely like American style, but like you could tell that he watched a lot of anime.
Toonami
It
on
would
the
be like an
weekend.
entire another
Yeah, a little
45
bit.
minutes.
You know, it's like some of my work ends up being a little bit fan servicey and fun in that way. So you can see where those influences come from. So, but you know, anything that you bring in is like it all gets mixed in the pot. There's a lot of fine art. There's a lot of different types of things that you see. You know, that they'll influence you in different ways. You like it, like Patrick Nagel's work in the '80s. That his style and doing those. I don't know if you remember Patrick Nagel. He used to do like the cover for Duran Duran's album with the chick that's just
Rio.
completely white with the sunglasses and
Yeah.
so
sure.
80s.
The album Rio had a lot of
Exactly.
Playboy.
Yeah.
Um,
So lots of things like that. Yeah.
I know my co-host here is getting really big into collecting older comics, and Mark, you've got some pretty fascinating ones.
Yeah, so I started real quick, Bill. I'll reiterate your Image point. I've gotten really into Image comics with some of their stuff. Like I don't know if you've ever read Birthright.
Birthright. Yeah.
I love. I tell everyone who's into comics, even remotely, that like you need to pick up Birthright and read it because the artwork alone is phenomenal. But not to mention how they blend in the storyline. But I've also gotten like really into like a lot of the other, what is it, like the Valiant universe? Their stuff that they do with like Ninjak and Man of War and all those guys, like really, really good connected series. But what Devin's talking about is, so I started collecting the original run of Booster Gold from '86.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
The old Dan Jurgen stuff.
Yep, Jurgen stuff. Because I'm a huge Booster Gold fan. I don't know why. There's no explanation for it, nor does it make any sense. But I just
there doesn't need to be. That's what's so
for some
great
reason
about
just
art.
Really like the character.
He's like the ultimate American. He went back in time to make money on his own knowledge and fame. Like it's Back to the Future gone completely horribly wrong in the best way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, just the fact that he like, steals everything. Like it's so funny. Like I just love his humor and stuff. And then I started also collecting in the middle run of when Star Wars was doing the comics, like around when The Empire Strikes Back came out. I'm collecting the 6-issue miniseries that Star Wars did in the middle of that run, where they did the original comic book adaptation of The Empire Strikes Back.
Oh yeah, that was Marvel, I believe it was doing that one at that time, right? Yeah.
So I'm collecting that 6-issue mini run. Like it's like the middle of their run. The Empire Strikes Back came out, so they do like the 6-issue miniseries. So I'm slowly collecting that. They're just harder to track down.
Yeah, individually, definitely.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed like Star Wars as a universe, but you want something a little bit different, because again, like anytime people do the comic books, they immediately compare them to the movies and then compare them to the media, and just because how could you not? There's a series from Dark Horse that came out called Tag and Blink Are Dead, which is a takeoff of was it Rosencrantz and Guildenstern from Shakespeare, from Hamlet, and it basically it's these two inept stormtroopers that are running around, and they are the reason why the rebels win against the Death Star and all that stuff in Star Wars. Like all the really bad things, that, like the plot device. You sit there and go, like, really? Like that pilot just decided to run right into Darth Vader and send them spinning? It's because they're in that TIE fighter screwing around.
We'd like to. So obviously, me and Mark are huge nerds when it comes to everything. So, ironically enough, the same day we had cons going on here in Detroit, we had Motor City, and we were me and Mark both dressed as Red Hood, different cons, different cities, everything just happened to be the same day. I only had two things, Jim Lee, and one was Hush, obviously.
Right.
One was he did a variant cover of Metal, and then I had my Red Hood helmet. That's why I grabbed it.
Nice.
So
my
That
stuff
thing
is.
check it out. You got it signed?
Oh, nice.
yeah,
My
So-
head is
That's
over
badass.
and it's in a
Yeah,
box
that's badass.
in a closet
Awesome.
behind me. But I do have the Red Hood cosplay and a chest piece that I had made out of EVA foam.
when I say this guy was like the nicest guy, though, he was like, "Oh, dude, this is so awesome. But his manager's like, "Let's get going. Come on." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I just need my comics." So I take my picture, and then I look at my comics and I walk away and I go, "Son of a gun." He forgot to sign my hush
I've got
out of everything. I'm like,
It's all because of that guy too. It's like
Yeah.
friggin'.
Oh yeah, no, it's
I hate those handlers, man, because they're just like, "Hey, kid, you bother me. Get out of here." You know, it's like,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah. If
Come
you're
on,
not,
it's like-
give me like $200.
it's like-
Keep it walking.
Yeah.
So if conventions open back up, do you guys plan on showcasing your new work? Like
Yeah. So
that-
as
Oh,
of,
for sure.
as-
for sure.
yeah, as of right
it's
now,
a matter of when, not if. I mean, it's like we're all headed towards better days. It's just the pain in the ass to get
I
through
mean,
the
as
slow
of-
motion apocalypse that's happening right
yeah,
now.
as it stands right now, we've got shows on the books. When they happen is the question, but we're going to be over in Kansas City, Missouri for Planet Comic Con, which they just shifted from April to August. We'll be at Salt Lake Fan X, which is September timeframe. We'll have a presence at Emerald City Comic Con here in Seattle, which will be in December. And I'm trying to think of where else we're going to be. Oh, we're supposed to be at the Tampa Comic Con, which is to be determined at this point. Same as Nashville. So,
Okay.
yeah, I mean,
all those shows are on like that weird standby, waiting for things to calm down. Once the Earth stops melting, then we can actually.
Yeah.
It's like San Diego. I never missed San Diego. This is the first year that I've missed San Diego since 1992.
Oh wow.
And it's because of this mess,
Yeah.
And
First time-
for this year coming up, even if they have the show, because of the size of the show and because people come from all over the world, it's like I'm halfway thinking I might not attend the show. It feels like it's maybe a little bit too soon for this year for a show that size because people come in from everywhere.
Yeah.
And not that I'm like so crazy, like putting myself in a bubble boy suit, trying to keep myself safe. I'm just doing the practical stuff, go through the motions. You put on the mask, you wash your hands, just the practical stuff. I don't think you could do much more than that.
Sneeze out a drawing, send it over to Tom. Got it.
Yeah.
There you
Send
go.
everything to Tom. All right.
I'll be out on the street corner, like having a
Power off
runner take
Bill and
stuff
send
in.
it to Tom.
Actually, I 2 teachers I had back in college would go to San Diego like every year. The one stopped going after a little bit. His name was Matt Bush. And then the other one is Alex Bouchel, which we had on our show. He also goes there every year and they draw for LucasArts.
Yeah.
And
Is this the same Matt Bush, Star Wars Matt Bush?
Matt Bush, Star Wars Matt
All right,
Bush.
I know Matt. Yeah, Matt's a cool guy. Yeah, we worked together for a little while at Avatar Press, and he's a super cool guy. I love the guy.
Yeah.
He's got a
Great
good sense of humor, which is worth $1 million, man. It's like you got to be hanging around with people that have a good sense of humor, right, Tom?
Yes. That's all I have is a sense of humor. I have no self-esteem. I have no self-respect, but I have self-humor. So,
And pie.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, that's a different story. he made an entire group of people who worked at this pie shop dance. I kid you not, it was
Dallas,
like
Texas.
a musical. Everybody was pissed off in this place. Everybody was just like, you know what? I'm having my pie. Shut the fuck up. Just leave me alone. I'm just going to do my thing. He walks in. He's like, pie. He was so happy that the girl behind the counter started dancing. And then everybody was happy in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a musical. I'm looking around like, oh my God.
It was Pushing Daisies. I walked into a pie
Yeah.
shop and singing broke out. So,
I was very impressed. I've never seen that in real life.
High School Musical for real. Now, this is a thing that me and Mark like to get into, and it's always been I get into it with my other comic book friends as well, which sadly enough, there's not very many of them, except for Mark.
Not as many.
you got to find better people.
I know, right?
know.
So obviously, I have my variety of comics, and Mark has his, and we butt heads on this all the time. And I have to ask, there's three choices, obviously, in types of books that come out for comics. You have the standard paperback comics. You have your omnibuses, and you have your graphic novels.
Mhm.
What is your guys' preferred choice when it comes to purchasing comics compared to obviously drawing them?
For me, it's twofold. So first, right off the bat, a lot of people get the concept of graphic novels confused because graphic novels, people now are like, oh, this is issues 1 through 5 of Birthright, and this is the graphic novel for the. And it's like, no, graphic novels were all supposed to be original content. So it was like The Killing Joke, or it was like Arkham Asylum. So basically, like Hush, is considered more of a trade paperback or a collection. I myself, because of the fact that I used to be a retailer for 6 years as well, back in the 90s in New York, I buy them individual issues. Mostly because of the fact that that's the only way the stores stay in business. And the other kicker is from the publisher side of it all. If I don't sell issues monthly or when I publish them individually, what's my incentive to collect them?
Right.
Or to put out new content as an original graphic novel? There is none at that point. So that's one of the things that I talk to people and they go, oh, well, I'm waiting for the collection to come out. And I go, well, you do realize that if they don't sell X, you're not going to get a collection. Like there's been tons of books. I think DC just did it recently that, during the whole shutdown. I want to say it was like the last issue of, I think it was like Supergirl or something stupid like that. They only released digitally. They didn't print it.
Right.
And I was like, okay, so now the only way you can get it in print is in a trade paperback. And the people who are buying it for the past 2 years or whatever, individual issues, they now have a gap in their collection, which we all know as collectors is the most infuriating thing on the planet. Is to have a gap.
Anything that got taken off my pull list, I usually just completely remove it off because I'm like, well, I'm missing too much now. It's there's not a good point.
You just purge it. You find the most, nicest even number and just cut it from there.
So it's easy to keep track. But Devin, that's a quick suck it to you. With Tom's answer.
I wasn't gonna say anything until Bill finished, but
that's one suck it.
Okay, well, my mentality is similar but different, I think, because I like to pick up individual issues because I like to pick up whatever the cover is for that particular issue.
That's two suck it.
So I'll have the individual issues, but I'm not exactly cracking those open to read those all the time. I would rather have the trade paperback up on the shelf, nice hardcover thing that I could just pull off the shelf, and that's when I'm actually flipping through when I want to sit down and actually read it. So that's sort of my mentality about it. And
it also
depends you can take it one step further. Like, would you rather have digital comics? Because I got Comixology on my iPad. I got some books on there, but that's really just an extra. That's a way for me to have something to look at. That's if I need some reference or if I need some, maybe some comics I could read at an airport or something like that. I'm not going to pick up lots of books.
I've tried to do digital comics before, and I just doesn't feel the same. So I have way too many.
It doesn't replace. It's nice to have on the side.
Feel of pages.
For sure. Yeah, you can't beat that. Yeah.
I will agree that so for me, I'm probably behind. I'm one of those guys. I pick up my pull list every couple weeks, but then I don't have time to sit and read it. So I'm probably 200 comics behind on just so much stuff between DC and some stuff with Marvel and some stuff with Image, and I can't find it. I can't get it through my pull list because it's a lesser known company. But you guys probably heard it, Catalyst Prime.
I've heard of it. I've never read it.
It's pretty small, but they have a hero called Excel. It's a series from Catalyst Prime, which is essentially kind of, I guess, their version of a Flash, but very different in the sense that his powers, again, he gets them from this meteorite that he finds and keeps under his bed, and it absorbs into his skin. But I like the way they handle the speedster, where in the sense that he gets insanely high speeds, he can break the sound barrier and turn it essentially the Speed Force, but any damage he gets while he's healed, he heals very quick, but all the damage will hit him at one time. So instead of breaking his arm, where the Flash will heal his broken arm while he's fighting, this guy is essentially invulnerable while he's fighting, but when it wears off after 10-15 minutes, everything hits him at one time, and so he goes immediately to
like, oh crap,
he just crippled immediately wherever he's in.
So it's like when you're at a con, and as long as you keep on moving, you can keep on going and getting as many autographs and seeing as many panels. But as soon as you sit down in a panel room, you're screwed because you're not able to get back up.
Exactly.
pretty much.
Sunday night when the show's over, then it really hits you all at once.
Oh,
Or
You've
you
actually been
sweat
on
for
the
2
whole
hours
time,
in
so-
line for
Yes.
Jim Lee,
Yeah.
and you have to give somebody else your comics to go get signed because you're not missing Jim. So the reason Mark said "suck it," and this is the reason why I get it is because I'm fully aware and I appreciate like what you guys do essentially, like art wise. Growing up and going to college for graphic design, I know what goes into it, and it's been like insane to watch the artwork that comes out of DC lately with the black labels. Have been fantastic. But the reason I pull the books instead is because I go through comics so fast. Like I want to know what's going to happen next, right? It's like a binge watch on a television show.
right.
So I get the books for that aspect. Plus, I love the fact that in what they classify as graphic novels now that they have all the alternative art in the back of it to let you see like what the different covers could have been.
So, Devin, does that mean that you're discovering stuff after it's happened? Like, are you finding the next book to read, or do you see a book on the shelf and pick up the individual issue, flip through it, and go, okay, I'm going to earmark this 6 months from now to buy the trade?
So, like, what I'll do is actually like, it's funny because like I'll pick up the big ones you can see over actually towards over here are actually both 52s. One's Red Hood and one's Deathstroke. So like I never read the full run. I just read that.
Most people didn't. That was the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And I tend to go back and forth. So, like I have stuff that I currently will keep up and read, like Red Hood and like the new Green Lantern stuff. And I've really been enjoying the new stuff that Marvel's been doing with the new Darth Vader runs. But then I'll pick up random stuff that I see like this, and I'll show you guys this. Anyone watching, I found it on mycomicshop.com. It's a mini series I did versus Robotech versus Voltron.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And so they did like a 6-issue mini series of Robotech and Voltron teaming up. Because I actually really enjoy the Robotech series that just ended not too long ago. I thought they did a really good job on it. But yeah, for me, it's kind of like I'll pick up individual issues of stuff, but then I'll pick up like books of like older runs, like older and newer stuff. Like I've really been enjoying DC's Tales from the Dark Multiverse mini series that they've been doing. Just like
that's been pretty good.
Yeah. So like it's a really cool concept. Those of you who are watching, if you don't know what I'm talking about, DC's doing like these Tales from Dark Multiverse of taking like essentially failed Dark Earths where, you know, like something happens to the heroes you know and love that turns them essentially evil into like where they essentially conquer the world, and we're waiting for the world to fade away, and it just tells the story of like how this hero just turned bad. And so I'm just like I enjoy finally showing dark side to certain people sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's a way to unfold the character a little bit more.
Yeah, which is why I love the Injustice comics way more than the video game, because the storyline of Superman being a crazy dictator is a nice change of pace.
So, last question before we start wrapping up here. I just want to get into so what made you guys actually get into wanting to create this female comic book? I'm going to say hero because I'll be honest with my fans. I have not yet read it, but it's on the post.
We're still waiting for Bill to send us our signed copies, and they haven't arrived yet. So
Tom
with Tom Spitlukey in the
yeah, I'm waiting to see. I need to know which page Tom spit on. So I can just,
back in the
model his
90s,
DNA.
back in the 90s, the way Near X actually came about was I was doing parodies for an imprint called Parody Press, and we were self-publishing those for about probably 7 or 8 years after I started getting. I got my first actual professional gigs at Eclipse Comics, and we did our very first. I did my very first gig for them. It was called X Farce. It was just a parody of X Force, which we actually have a Kickstarter right now. If just look up xfarce.com or just look up xfarce on Kickstarter. But we're reprinting that in full color with a bunch of other artists and new material and some things. So that was my very first gig, and we were doing parodies for, gosh, like 7 or 8 years. And then we decided we really wanted to do also like superhero adventure comic books that were more serious. But of course, we couldn't just call it, it couldn't be under the same imprint. That would just be confusing. So we came up with an imprint called Entity Comics. And the first license that we got to do for Entity Comics was a comic book called Zen Intergalactic Ninja. It's Steve Stearns and Dan Cody's creation. There you go. Which is, and her first appearance was in Zen Intergalactic Ninja #0, which is reprinted inside the New York omnibus that Tom's holding up. Yep. So the way that I sorted, when we first got the license, Zen was like, he had some NES games and he had a comic book being published by Archie. It was full color, but very geared for little kids. It was very Captain Planet, very save the environment kind of comic book.
Power of heart.
Yeah, exactly. So luckily, they allowed me to redesign the character a bit, just his proportions and things like that, make him a little bit more image friendly, I would say. Like, that's my influence of the directions I wanted to go with the stories, a little bit more serious, more sci-fi. And I was just like, the one element that's missing from this book is like some hot chick bounty hunter that could be added to the mix. And we had everything else. We had the aliens, we had the spaceships, we had the locales, we had the villains. Everything was there except for just that little bit of edge, that little bit of sex appeal that I would really like to put into the book. So that was her very first appearance. Was she appears on the last page of that book as a bounty hunter who's about to be assigned to a thing. So that's where she came about. And then she was popular enough that I had to stop drawing Zen after a couple of miniseries in order to concentrate on just coming out with her full color spin-off series of her own. So I'm very fortunate that he let me keep all the characters that I introduced into the Zen book. I still own all the characters that I created. So that was like super nice of him to do for me. And that's how it started. That's how Nera X became her own series. And her popularity drove it. And I've been drawing that ever since, on and off ever since. We did a couple of series for Avatar Press after we'd stopped publishing with Entity. And now we're with Committed Comics and Tom.
And the Tom.
That's right.
And that's where we're at. Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yeah. And so basically, when we decided, when me and Bill just talked about for her 25th anniversary to do the omnibus, which you can add on as a pledge for $35, you get a softcover version of the omnibus. We talked about bookending it. Since this was a collection of her own stuff, or her older stuff, we decided to bookend it with new content in the beginning and the end. So there's new
so that way all of the old material in the middle of the book that makes up the bulk of the book ends up being a flashback that she's experiencing. She's actually, it's her younger self gets visited by her older self. And then
it goes right into the first issue of Reborn, and then it brings us to our current time frame of the Kickstarter for issue 2, which we are going to be printing. And we just basically want everybody's support to be able to get more stuff and more cool stuff out of this Kickstarter. One of the things that you can add on to your pledge with any physical tier is for $40, you can get a Nera X mouse pad with wrist guard. And the wrist guard happens to be in a certain region, which basically you get.
I don't think my fiance's gonna let me
I wish I had the clip art ready to pop up on the screen. I don't have the clip art to share on my screen.
I'm gonna have to send that wrist guard over to Mark.
Right? Yeah.
Just send everything to me.
Yeah, I wanted to have one of those manga inspired mouse pads for years, and I'm just like, where do they print them? I couldn't find a place that printed them. And Tom's like, I know a place that prints them.
I know a guy. I know a guy
Tom,
who knows a
Tom
guy.
knows a guy that knows a guy.
He's in the back. He's in the back alley of. It's got his trunk.
I'm gonna send Paulie out there. See if he can
Go ahead and check out this book.
Yeah, there you go.
But you know what? It cures tendinitis. It keeps it away. It's something that'll help.
Right. It's because we care. At Committed Comics, we care about our fans.
Yeah. It is a medical grade mouse pad.
Yeah.
Now, I do have to ask, Bill, since you're drawing all this up for issue 3, since you're still creating it.
Yes.
I mean, there's two good-looking guys that would be happy to be in a comic book, even if it's in the background. We could be
I mean, you never know if I get some of that reference material.
Like draw me killing death in the background.
Oh my God.
I mean, there is a custom cover tier. That for $1,000 you get pretty much every single variant cover. You get both of the retail editions, and you actually get yourself drawn onto the cover of Nero. So just saying.
Tom, did you hear me reference? I have a fiance, which means that we're getting married, which means I have to plan for a wedding, or else I would do that.
Send Bill her picture. She can be on the cover, and then it becomes a unique wedding gift.
Shame all of your family members to purchase a tier, and we'll see.
There you go. You guys can be both on there, and then Bill can draw you guys getting married.
Oh, perfect.
What?
That's true.
What?
With Nero X.
Tom has the crazy good idea.
Just in the background.
If she watches this now and does not receive it, now there's problems.
Now we know
what happens.
Now we know what.
By the way, congratulations on about to get married. So that's pretty awesome, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I do have to ask you guys one more time for our fans. Can you relay where they can find and pledge for your guys' comic book?
So I did post the link earlier. Let me go ahead and repost that right now while you're talking.
You can also literally just go to Kickstarter.com, and if you plug in Nero X, or if you plug in Committed Comics, COMMITTED COMICS, it's also right there.
Nero-X will pop it up like first in the list.
Yeah, it pretty much shows up, or and then they can pledge. And I mean, I've got so many little things. I mean, since we've already funded everybody who pledges and gets it, they're gonna get on a print, a thank you print for funding with their name on the back of the print. So hopefully we have to use a 1-point font because we have so many people who are pledging that it'll be very, very tiny. Right. But yeah, I mean, that will come with the book, and then the stretch goals we have, bookmarks, metal prints, a trading card set of the variant covers, and as I'm thinking up more stuff, I mean, hell, I'll just start throwing stuff in there just randomly. I don't really care at this point. I've got too many books.
If you can think of it.
It's actually funny that you bring up the Jim Lee thing, is because I've got a whole bunch of since I used to be a retailer back in the day, when X-Men #1 came out, and sold the 4.6 million copies, Capital City, which was one of the many distributors at the time, did a hologram of the entire cover, and it says, the best-selling comic of all time kind of deal, and they gave those out to retailers. And then when Capital City was going out of business, I visited their warehouse and bought a whole bulk of those stickers, or not stickers, but it was like a mini print. And I ran into Jim, New York, I think it was either New York or it might have been Texas, and I got him to sign like a half a dozen of them. And I think I'm just going to randomly, maybe even possibly throw those in. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do that to get people, but I might sit there and say like, hey, I'm going to start throwing random stuff in my own collection into physical bids. One, because I have way too much stuff, and two,
sweet, I got Tom's water bill. Yes.
What does it mean, past due?
And ironically, his water bottle. Why was the bill stuck in the bottle?
Of course, COVID free. Of course,
Of course. But
it's just like,
yeah.
I'm sending his spit.
I mean, I've got really weird random stuff that I'm actually thinking of just cracking out. I mean, if it helps us get to the next stretch goal, it helps us get to the next tier. If it basically gets us to print issue 3, which is my ultimate goal, I'll start throwing in original artwork from some of my friends. I mean, I've just got this piece just sitting here from Sean Chen. I'll just throw this stuff right there, randomly. Why not?
Make sure you just message him as you're doing it, like, hey, quick thing, selling all the stuff you gave me for personal profit. Please send more things. Thank you.
Tom's
Yeah,
got
pretty much. Yeah,
Tom's
that
got
would-
nothing left in his house. It's just a big blank area, and he's just like, I got rid of everything. Well, we hit our goal.
Yeah.
well,
Now I
if
gotta
I
go
really,
out and
if
buy
I really wanted to
stuff.
hit the goal, I could literally just do the Jack Kirby original that I have. But I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, that would.
So yeah,
Yeah, and sold. Gold medal.
that's a special tier. That's a special
Yeah,
tier.
that's like a here's my car and trade in for.
So, guys, I do want to say thank you again for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve.
Love
Thanks.
talking comics, and we'll
Yeah,
definitely
and
have
we'll
to
always talk comics.
We'll always talk comics. We'll have to have you on again, especially when we run one of our. We've been doing bonus episodes lately called Between the Panels, where we talk about a certain superhero.
Nice.
So
Cool.
we would like to have you guys on again, and maybe we'll do one on Nira X herself.
There you
Yeah,
go.
sounds like a plan, dude.
So,
Awesome.
as always, for everybody listening out there, go ahead, check out their Kickstarter. Search either Nira X, or you can look up Committed Comics. That's right below. By
Yeah.
Tom. And we also will post their Kickstarter on our Facebook page as well as other platforms. Don't forget to follow us on our Facebook page, our Twitter, Mark's Instagram, Mark's Twitch. All the fun stuff. Patreon is scrolling across the bottom. You can find us at patreon.com/Fandom Effect podcast, which we have to announce.
We do accept art. We also accept artwork, Tom.
Yes.
And
Jack Kirby
or comic books.
Yeah,
we do accept both.
I'm sure I could find some random stuff. I mean, this. I don't know if you guys.
We also accept that for payment as well. So
just like boxes of books. Just saying.
Yeah, just pick a box, send it.
Just any box. Yeah, why not?
Shipping's no big deal.
Yeah, you know how it is.
No, the post office isn't doing anything right now. They're totally fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Send the spit in like a separate container, though.
Right. Yeah.
As always, everybody, we produce our podcast on Fridays, bonus episodes every other Tuesday, and we are seen at 8:00 on Scene Snobs Facebook page on Sundays. So for everybody out there, we do appreciate it, and we like to give a little tidbit. Mark, what's that little tidbit for today?
Yep. So as you guys know, and just to reiterate quickly what Devin was saying, so the Steam Snobs channel, if this is your first time or if you're new to it, the Scene Snobs channel is the new network that the Fandom Effect belongs to. So in addition to our episodes playing on the normal podcasting networks, our episodes also air every Sunday on their network as well. So shout out to them. But you guys always know we try to give a fandom experience at the end, because at the end of the day, the Fandom Effect, what we're here to do is just to dive into new fandoms, current fandoms, just things that we think other people will get some entertainment out of. So really, since we kind of are talking about this, I really want to encourage everyone out there that is interested in comics to branch outside of DC and Marvel. We mentioned a lot of indie guys here, and I mean, obviously, Committed Comics and the work that, Bill and Tom are doing on both their current stuff, but also I know you guys have other work as well. But like, just, we mentioned Image Comics, and I had mentioned Catalyst Prime, and I know there's a ton of other ones. We interviewed DJ a while ago, who's the creator of Exilion. It's the Exilion series. So like, you guys can check out series like that, because, especially with everything going on, indie creators are really the guys who are going to be, pushing a lot of this newer content. And, it's, if we didn't have a lot of these guys, because it's, yes, DC and Marvel are great, but I mean, to be honest, there's a reason why stuff like Birthright and Ninjak and, comics like that are cracking into my top 5. And it's because the work that these guys are doing is just beyond phenomenal. So that's going to be my little recommendation for this episode, is just to, if you're interested in comics, you can, if DC and Marvel is an easy starting point, obviously by all means, we're never going to encourage someone to not get into something. But at the same time, if you want to give something, indie a try, check out the work that Bill and Tom are doing with Committed Comics and just some of that stuff. Like, sometimes those are the really good places to start, because I'm sure, as everyone could tell, and I'm sure you guys could probably saw a couple comments hear from a couple of friends of ours who are talking about they could hear, like it's an earlier comment that somebody was saying that they could hear the passion as you guys were talking about your stuff and the work that you guys are doing. And so I think your work and that passion comes across. Like when you guys are like, when you read the work and everything like that, it's like I feel like you kind of can read that passion. So that's gonna be my little tidbit for this week, Devin. It's gonna be my little thing.
I feel it right here.
Choke it up, Mark.
I feel beklept.
Turn the page.
But this is what we live for. So the fact that we can do fun things together, like-minded people, and obviously because we're adults and we have to eat, we have to monetize the things we do for fun. But I like the fact that we're all supporting each other, uplifting each other, as opposed to some large corporations or not, pointing any fingers, whatever. Typically people tear somebody else down to build themselves up, and that's not a cool way to do it. So I like the supportive atmosphere that we have going on right now.
Yeah, can definitely respect it. And like Devin said, everything will be aired on Fridays and the episodes and everything like that. And we'll try to make sure that we, since we're talking about this, we'll try to get you guys on some other stuff. We have a few of our friends on over at the Steam Stoms. We'd love to get you guys.
Oh yeah.
We have a couple comic guys over there that would love to talk to you guys.
Awesome.
We'll talk comics all day long and be goofy.
Yeah. That's why it's always hard when we get the interviews where we know there's something we have to talk about, like obviously like your Kickstarter and like the stuff that we're doing. Sure. But then at the same time, we're like, but we also really just want to talk comics.
Right. I also want to find out from you guys what you guys thought of the Royal Rumble outcomes.
So
that's a huge can of worms right there.
Yeah. So did you watch the Royal Rumble?
I saw highlights of it. I didn't get a chance to watch it, so I was busy. But I know who won, and I know the certain surprise guests and that kind of stuff. And I was happy with the women's outcome, not as happy with the men's outcome.
So the women's I was happy with, but also I feel like if Rhea Ripley wasn't going to win it, she shouldn't have been in it. Okay. Because you could have called her up the day after, or you could have just held off till or you could have just held off till after WrestleMania, and then called her up. Because now the issue is now everyone's like remembering, oh yeah, you're that girl that lost to Bianca Belair. Like it already puts her down a peg.
Unless they're going to build that storyline between those two, right?
Well, see now it's like there's still that leftover stuff between her and Charlotte, so everyone's assuming that that's where they're going to go is her and Charlotte. But it's like I don't know how you get there.
You at least got two more pay-per-views, right? Before WrestleMania,
or one. No, Fastlane and Elimination Chamber.
Yeah. So you got two more, so you can still tell a good story.
That was like because Bianca Belair is obviously going to go after Sasha, so people are saying like, okay, that's what they're going to do, and they call up Ripley that Ripley needs to win the Elimination Chamber.
Right.
So she can challenge because people are figuring that odds are by then Asuka will have lost to Charlotte or maybe not. So it's like you either have Rhea beat Charlotte or you have Rhea beat Asuka. But that's like the only way to like I feel like do anything with her. But I get what you mean about Edge.
Asuka and Bliss, I'm telling you. Bro.
I don't think they're gonna put it. I don't think they're gonna put the title on Bliss. I think they've learned from the Fiend that putting the title on those gimmicky characters just backfires because then eventually someone has to.
Never got it.
The Fiend did, but it ruined him.
I know. Well, I don't know. I was never a fan of the Fiend concept. To me, that was literally the boogeyman from
the early 90s. That's what I used to be having with Bliss is people are liking it now. If they put the title on her, eventually she has to lose it.
Right.
So either she loses it as her normal, Alexa Bliss, in which case it ruins that character, or she loses as her.
Yeah, as soon as she loses the title, you have no storyline with her. You don't have nowhere to put her. So
But we'll end. Well, I'll end this live. We'll keep talking wrestling, but
We do it all the time. Don't worry.
I know. Again, I was listening to some of the earlier podcasts, and I'm like, let me see.
we'll see you guys next week. But we definitely are going to have both of these guys on again. So
all right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Stay tuned for that.
Thank you.